2 years ago. Nice one.
Need to memorize that.
Statement of public notice
This meeting will be properly posted at the Synergy Business Park, King Street Building on the agency's website and provide all requesting person, organization, and news media in accordance with Section 34-80 of the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Of the agenda.
I'm so sorry, y'all. If you'll just remember to please speak into the microphone, just for the benefit of people watching online, they'll be able to hear what's going on. Thank you.
Is mine on? Yeah, okay.
Ahead and get things started. Board members, Mr. Gainey, Mr. Ballard, Mr. Newton, Mary, Robert Rosetta. I've known Robert for 40-plus years, and I think we're very, very lucky to approval of excused absences. We have Mr. Massarelli. Birch. We have
I'll make a motion.
motion.
Second, Marion Moore. Dorothy.
Are we missing someone besides Tony?
Mr. Reese is not here, but he did not request an absence.
Motion for the approval of the minutes from our March 3rd meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes. Richard Bagwell.
Thank you for everybody for coming back on this short notice. I know we had a little snap on our last meeting, and very important to get back as soon as. Thank you for making the trip back here, and for all the board members to make it back at this point in time. This time, can we go to staff reports?
Sir, good morning, everyone. I do want to mirror Vice Chairman Graham's thank you. I really appreciate you all making time in your schedule on short notice for this meeting. And I do also want to welcome Mr. Rosetta to the board. I hope you'll let us know as staff if you have any questions about any of the board proceedings or if you need anything. We'll jump right into your board reports. Those are going to be on page 6 of your materials. We kept the licensure statistics intended for the June 2nd meeting, so just be aware you'll see those dates reflected. So as of May 27th, there are 1,038 licensees, and you'll see those broken down by license type. Beneath that is a list of new retail dealer licenses issued from March 3rd to May 29th. So what you'll see, these are not going to reflect the renewal numbers, of course, but when you come back for your September meeting, we'll have updated licensure numbers reflecting the end of renewals. Also, as a reminder, if there are any statistics that you do want to see that we don't have currently available for you, please let me know. As long as that information is available to us as staff, we can make it available for you during meetings as well. All right, on the next page, you'll find the board's cash report with an estimated 2026 year-end balance of $449,513.12. And as a reminder, that is an estimate. We'll continue. If you ever have any questions about the budget, by the way, please send me an email. I'll be happy to put you in contact with one of our finance officers or the director, and they can walk you through the different financing rules that the board has to comply with. You'll notice the PSI exam statistics aren't included today, and I apologize. I had some trouble pulling those numbers, but we will make those available for you in September. Does anyone have any questions about the statistics? All right, I have a few other updates for you. First, license renewals closed on June 30th. As of that day, or excuse me, as of this morning, there are 200 eligible licensees that have not completed their renewal. But they have until December 31st to do that with a late fee, the key being that they cannot practice during the late renewal period. I will tell you, 200 licensees not renewing is pretty standard at this point in the renewal cycle. We'll have somewhere under 100 of them either retiring or leaving the business for other reasons and things and not renewing their license. So this is pretty standard. We'll expect to process about 100 more license renewals before December. All right, next, I did want to update you quickly on the staff's HUD audit. So we do have a yearly audit with HUD as a state administrative agency. So they send their agents in and they make sure that we are complying with all the federal requirements that allow us to continue hosting this program as a state. So as a state administrative agency, we're charged with licensure and a consumer complaint process, and HUD allows us to do that as long as we remain compliant. This year went as well as our past years, I'm happy to report. One big change is that we're now a manufacturing state. So prior to last year, South Carolina did not have any in-state manufactured home manufacturers, but we now have 2. And so this year's audit looked a little bit different. On February 10th, HUD staff came in here to LLR. We did our normal administrative review where we go over the number of complaints, who's on staff, if there have been any law changes, things like that. And then HUD's team went with us up to Sweet House Cabins in the upstate, and we did the plant visit with them as the the first in-state manufacturer that's currently producing. And HUD walked us through our new role. So now that we're a manufacturing state, staff is going to have to do more record compliance checks and potentially plant visits to our in-state manufactured home manufacturers. This is new to us, so HUD really held our hand this year, and they've offered to come back and assist us as much as possible over the next 2 years to make sure we're comfortable with our role. Richard?
Who would do those inspections?
That would be our administrative staff team. So more than likely, it would be myself or our new program coordinator, who I'll introduce you to, or Molly. We'd go up in a team of 2 usually, and then we would meet a representative of HUD there, and then we'll have the manufacturing team as well as someone from their inspection agency present for those record reviews.
Thank you.
Absolutely. As we do get more familiar with the process, I'm happy to provide y'all with more details moving forward. We're still getting used to it. Yep. Next, last thing I have for you this morning, I did want to introduce David Bird. He's sitting over here next to Teresa, the new face there. He's the new program coordinator for our team, and we're very excited to have him on board. He came in during the last 2 weeks of license renewal, so he's been really patient with us while we come out of that scramble and get back into our usual routine. But his primary goal for this year will be getting certified with the International Code Council to be a commercial plans examiner, because he's going to primarily take over the day-to-day management of the modular building program. So we've seen 200% growth on the commercial side just in the last few years, and so we need some help with plan review. So David will be taking over that, but you'll also see him in meetings, other committee meetings and things, because he'll be helping me with general program updates and reviews and things, compliance issues, as he gets settled into the role. So I hope you have a chance to introduce yourself, but you'll be seeing his face more often in the meetings. So, actually, I apologize. I do have one more thing for you. You are going to start to see the paper travel forms in front of you again when you come to the meetings. This is a new administrative requirement for us as staff. So I know Teresa collected your digital signatures so that we could process your mileage and per diem and things as board members. We're now being asked to also get a paper form with your signature. It will not have the end time of the meeting. We will fill that in, but essentially what downtown is looking for is they want to see that you understand what you're being reimbursed. And so if we just affix your digital signature after the meeting, you may not have actually seen that sheet. So we'll get your physical signature on those again, so please don't be surprised if you see them ahead of the meeting. If you'll please sign them, leave them there, and Teresa will collect them after the meeting. Thank you. Do you all have any questions? I appreciate it.
Have a report from the Office of Investigation and Enforcement.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. The Manufactured Housing Board Office of Investigation Status Report, this is for your information only, as of January 1, 2026, until when this report was run on June 24, 2026, there have been 74 complaints filed with this commission. There are currently 24 active investigations. We have 5 cases pending further information to see if they are qualified to be opened. and have closed 45 cases. This information report. Move on to the Manufactured Housing Investigative Review Conference Report on May 21st, 2026. There are 6 cases for your review for a dismissal, and we have 1 case for a formal complaint citation. This you'll need to vote on.
Motion? Vote.
We don't need a motion on that, do we?
You do need to vote on the conference report. These are cases that were either up for some form of disciplinary action or a dismissal. So you have 6 cases that the conference has recommended for dismissal, being that the issues were resolved or they were civil, and 1 case for a citation for substandard work.
How do we see the details?
You're not able to see the details, and the primary reason for that is if it were to come to you for a hearing, you would have to recuse yourself if you had too much prior knowledge. And so the goal of this is some form of separation between the board and the recommended disciplinary action. So what happens is that investigative review conference is made up of a staff member, Mr. Smith and his staff, his investigators who work these cases, and then we bring in members of the industry that the board has approved to be professional advisors. And so they help us in determining what would be an appropriate disciplinary action, and then we bring those recommendations to you for approval. But it is important that we keep those details away from you at the moment in case they do come to you for a hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Richard Bagwell.
I'll second that. Marion Moore. Marion Moore.
Questions? Any discussion? Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next up, it looks like it's our application hearing.
I am so sorry, Mr. Vice Chair. We have the ODC report. Ms. Shealy couldn't be here this morning, so I can give that report to you really quickly, and it is just informational. Okay. So for the ODC status report, as of May 21st of this year, there's 1 open case, and they have closed 9 cases. That's all I have for you.
Up is the application hearing for S&P of Loris LLC, Wagner Property Group LLC. Thank you for coming in. I know you were here.
I didn't mind at all. I appreciate y'all coming back here and working with.
Understand that it's come to our attention for experience.
Yes, sir. There should be a script for you there for Mr. Suggs, and what we'll do is we'll walk you through the application type and any concerns that staff might have had. Yes, sir.
Where is the script?
It should be there for you.
It's right behind the
Oh,
agenda.
Okay.
This hearing is called to order. This is the matter of Abraham Michael Suggs, Does any board member have a reason to excuse himself from this matter? The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the application should be granted a license as a manufactured home retailer. Everyone is reminded that these proceedings are recorded and that all witnesses must be sworn before they testify. All remarks should be directed to the chair. Ms. Smith, is the complete application package in our materials?
Yes, sir. Those start on page 11.
What questions did staff have concerning the application?
Sure. So Mr. Suggs submitted a manufactured home retail dealer application for S&P of Loris on February 9th, 2026. Upon review of the application, it was determined that it cannot be approved at staff level due to not having 2 years of experience in the manufactured home industry. Included in the board's materials are Mr. Suggs' completed application packet, the notice of hearing, as well as additional documents to demonstrate his experience provided by him for the board's review. In reviewing this application, staff looked at South Carolina Manufactured Housing Statute, Section 40-29-200G.
Staff subpoena any person to be here today to answer any questions we might have.
Sir?
Could you give us your full name for the record?
Name is Abram Michael Suggs.
Are you represented by counsel?
No, sir.
And that you have the right to be represented by counsel of your own choosing in this matter?
Yes, sir.
You're electing that right to represent yourself, correct?
Yes, sir.
You received notice that was sent out and notice that you're advised of your right to counsel in the matter, correct? So you decided not to obtain an attorney and represent yourself? Suggs, do you have any witnesses that you intend to call to testify on your behalf?
No, sir.
This time, would you stand? State your name for the record. Suggs, are you ready to show us why you should be granted a license despite the questions raised by the staff?
Yes, sir. All right, thank you all for, I'm here to obviously try and get my manufactured housing dealership.
If you just pull that closer, really close to you, because it's off and on. All of us have trouble with it, so you're not alone. We'll have to lean in a little bit.
All right.
To see if the red light comes on.
The main reason that I'm here to get the license is because I want to do large-scale communities, South Carolina. Mainly in that area, we have stick-built homes. I don't know of a manufactured housing park like I want to do in the area, and I'd like to, that along with my family, to make affordable housing available in the area. The experience portion, I guess, is why we're here today for that. To speak on that, for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been working House Tire and Axle. This is my family's company that we recycle the manufactured home axles and tires. So we buy the axles from the dealerships, setters, communities, etc. We recycle them and then we sell them back to the factories. Because of that relationship and that business, I have relationships with numerous dealers, factory employees, sales managers, etc. I guess I've never worked as a salesperson at a dealership, but I do feel like I have the 2 years of manufactured housing industry. I've also brought 3 letters, one from Mark Causey, an Horry County councilman, as well as Danny Hardy, an Horry County councilman, and the sales manager at Cavco Homes in Hamlet, Mr. All to just kind of speak on my experience a little bit to kind of show that, I guess, show their support for me obtaining the license today.
If I may, those recommendation letters start on page 20 of your materials. Thank you.
Questions?
I have one question. I know it seems picky, but we've had this discussion in previous meetings, and it kind of gets into the rather nebulous definition of what is experience in the manufactured home industry. If you're being broad-based, the gentleman has 4 years of experience. If you're saying that we're only talking about dealer sales experience, then no, he doesn't have any. But this has been a bone of contention in previous discussions. So I was just curious about clarification of that.
I think that probably would be discussed in a legal setting.
Okay.
Mr. Gaines, I will tell you, I've been speaking with the chairman, and I believe that issue will be brought back up on the September agenda, and hopefully we'll seek some clarification then.
Does it require clarification in the statute or just a decision here?
I think that's probably more of a legal question, but it would be something that you could seek advice on in executive session.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, would you said you're looking to do a manufactured home park, correct?
Yes, sir. And that's one more thing I forgot to mention. Also, I brought a plan for a development that includes 95 homes in Horry County that we've currently sent into the zoning board in Horry County, just looking to get approval of that. We've been working with them for the past few months to get that approved. Originally, it was 132 home sites, but for a couple reasons, we've had to bring it down to 95. That is in there as well for y'all to, I guess.
Document he's referring to is on page 23. Thank you.
Who is your partners?
It would mainly be my family right now, including my grandfather, my father, my uncle, but we've also considered inviting in a couple of previous business partners that we've had, but nothing is locked in as far as who's going to be involved exactly. But it'll be members of my family and then maybe some other trusted business partners.
And you are looking, obviously, to be the license of the head.
Yes, sir.
You'll be managing, running it. You'll be the man.
Yes, sir. I plan to be very involved in all aspects of it.
And how many have you done before?
This will be the first, but we hope this will be the first of many. Sir, this will be the first.
And have you been talking to a manufacturer about where would you get your products?
Yes, sir. Like I said earlier about the experience portion, working with the axles and tires, we have all the major manufacturers, including Clayton, Cavco. Recently, I went to the Cavco Hamlet facility and met with them there to talk about it. Jarrett Boswell, the sales manager, he actually wrote something in support of us getting it, but we haven't decided on what product line we're going to go with yet, but it'll more than likely be either a Cavco or Clayton product, but we haven't decided on the exact home. The park will be a mixture of singles and doubles. We haven't decided the exact ratio that we want to do yet.
Where are you going to get your financing
We're
for for your floor plan, I presume?
We haven't completely decided if we want to do all the pay for it in-house or just do a loan through a bank yet. We haven't decided that yet. How many would you do initially?
How many would you do initially? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1 or 2. 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 1 or 2.
I think we'd probably start off doing maybe a dozen at a time, try and fill the homes in, and then do another 10 or 12 and keep doing that. That way we avoid having too much money in homes that aren't, producing any rent.
Well, it'll be rental, no sales,
The plan is to do only rentals, yes, sir.
but you could sell if you wanted to.
Yes, sir. I guess there isn't any legal thing that would prevent us from selling, but through the discussions of, me and my family and possible partners, we would plan to, hold this park for 20-plus years. If we were ever to sell it down the line, we would sell the park in its entirety. There's been no plans or discussion about selling off the homes individually or selling off the homes to then rent the land that the home is on top of. It would be just solely for renting purposes.
And how and why did you decide not to buy from a local dealer? How did that come about?
Well, it just comes down to, I guess, the finances of it. If a dealership marks up a home 20, 25, 30%, it starts to become, I guess, maybe infeasible to do a lot like this with 95-plus home sites. So just trying to, I guess, get the most out of our money.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Do you have in mind people who can set all these homes for you and things like that, licensed?
We haven't landed on a specific person yet, but with the recycled axle and tire business, we buy from several setters. So I imagine we would pick one of our more reliable and trusted setters that we've worked with for years, but that hasn't been decided yet.
Who would do your service?
Are you referring to the axle and tire business, or who do I service?
When the electrical has a problem, or the plumbing has a problem, structural problem, roof leak?
I guess we haven't decided on who we would call in for, I guess, those problems yet.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Your case is submitted to the board, and we'll take it under advisement. Is there a motion to go into executive session for
Motion.
legal advice?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Executive sessions, no votes of any kind were taken. Is there a motion as to disposition of this application?
At this time, I'd like to address Ms. Suggs. Ms. Suggs, the board presently will deny your application based on true experience from sales, installation process, and having personnel in line to complete the installation and servicing of the home. We'd like to see you, we understand you've been in the actual business, but in true process of obtaining homes, getting the home set, the service process and all, we feel you need somebody to help you. We need someone to maybe partner with someone for a while who has a license, and talk to a dealer who has a license and understands that you've got this community, and I'll bet you that they'd be willing to help you out and get your foot started, and come back and reapply and get your own license with a little experience. All right, I'll make a motion. The board presently deny the application based on true experience from sales, installation process, and having personnel to complete the installation and servicing of the home.
I'd like to second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. The decision we announced today expresses only the basic elements of our ruling in this case. Council or staff of the board will prepare a document which will more fully express our conclusions in the appropriate language and format for which the board has traditionally used. The final written decision must be approved and signed by the chairman of the board and will be the final order in this matter. If the respondent wishes to appeal the board's decision, it will need to appeal to the administrative law court within 30 days of the receipt of the order. This concludes this.
Quick question. So the reason for the denial was that I wasn't able to say who we would use to say.
Well, it's more of an overall view of understanding the industry process of purchasing homes from manufacturers, that you got to have somebody in place to, when you do set the home, there is a lot of service and things done even before somebody occupies that home. And the whole process, if we can see some more experience or somebody available to do that, then that would help you greatly.
Well, I definitely have people that we would work. I would have known that that was something that would be important brought with me today. It's just that we're in the very beginning stages of sending the plan over to the board of zoning board for Horry County, et cetera. Switch. Then we're prepared for that requirement, maybe.
Well, I know you said that you didn't want to go to a dealer who's licensed in his field, but if you take that plan to somebody who has a license and show them the plan and operation, what you have, I'll bet you'll be able to purchase homes through their license and have them shipped to your site and install them, and have some help in the guidance of that process. And when you've got that experience, and you can get your own license.
So I appreciate that advice.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Appreciate you coming in. This hearing's called to order in the matter of the Wagner Property Group, LLC. Does any member have a reason to recuse himself from this matter? The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the applicant should be granted a license as a manufactured home retail dealer. Everyone reminded these proceedings are recorded, that all witnesses must be sworn before testimony, all remarks directed to the chair. Smith, is this the complete application in our materials?
I can wait, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll wait for Maggie to come back.
Mr. Chairman, what page is this on in the? 6, okay, I was way behind here. Suggs is.
46.
Yeah, here.
I apologize, had to walk them through a couple application questions real quick. Thank you for your patience.
That's okay. Ms. Smith, is the complete application package in our materials?
Yes, sir.
What questions did staff have concerning this application?
Mr. Wagner submitted a manufactured home retail dealer application for the Wagner Property Group LLC on July 24th of 2025. Upon review of the application, it was determined that it cannot be approved at staff level due to failure to meet the financial responsibility requirements. Included in the board's materials are the completed application packet, the notice of hearing provided to Mr. Wagner, as well as additional financial documentation provided by him for the board's review. In reviewing this application, staff considered South Carolina Section 40-29-95B and South Carolina Regulation 79-4-3C.
Staff subpoena any other person to be here today to answer any questions we may have?
No, sir.
The applicant here?
Yes, sir.
If I may, one, before, can you tell us what the details are on the denial besides just financial?
Yes, sir. So it was strictly related to the reviewed financial report. He couldn't show us on paper in that report that he has the $150,000 in cash or cash equivalency in that bank account under the LLC's name. And so what he provided in your materials is some additional financial documentation he'll walk you through to show his financial position for the company.
What could he provide for you?
So the staff requirement for that document is a reviewed financial report from a licensed CPA in the name of the applicant, so in this case it would be the LLC, and demonstrating a minimum of $150,000 in cash or cash equivalency. So if we receive that at staff level, we can approve it based on those conditions, but in this case, we couldn't see that $150,000 amount.
What about available credit?
Unfortunately, that's not something that we're permitted by statute to look at. And so that is something we've discussed with the industry as alternate application requirements to show that financial stability for the company. But the statute has us strictly tied to this particular requirement for now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Also, tell us what you could, what he could provide for you, what he was able to provide in the statement that you looked at. How much money?
Yes, sir. If you'll allow me one moment, I'll pull that up for you. On. There we go. This will be on page 54 of your materials, is where the financial report starts. Page 56 is the balance sheet, and it shows a current cash and cash equivalent balance of $2,444.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Are you represented by counsel?
Yes, sir.
And you have the right to be represented by counsel of your own choosing in this matter?
Yes, sir.
You received notice of this hearing that was sent out and notice that you were advised of your right to counsel in this matter, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you decide. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wagner, do you have any witnesses you intend to call today?
No, sir.
Okay. This time, you may testify, stand, and for the record.
Please state and spell your first and last.
Wagner, are you ready to show us why you should be granted a license despite the questions raised by staff?
Yes, sir. Also happy to go over our business model as well of the reason I'm applying for the dealer's license. But regarding the financial questions, I intentionally do not keep large sums of cash in my LLC. That's just not how I do business. But I was able to provide bank statements that show well over $150,000 in my personal name. It just was not in my LLC account at that time.
If I may, those other reports that he's referring to start on page 65 of your materials.
Regarding our business model, so we purchase land and do land home packages. So we'll buy individual parcels, develop them, put mobile homes on the parcel and sell them as a land home package. I'm a real estate agent by trade. So I've been, selling real estate for the last 4 years. I've sold multiple mobile homes. We've done 3 land home package projects so far. We do use a current dealer. We have all of our contractors as well, a setup contractor, all the other necessary contractors as well. And so we've been doing that since the end of 2024. So we've done 3 projects and have completed them so far with COs issued for each. And so we're just looking to expand that business and intending to get the dealer's license to be able to expand the amount of projects we can take on.
So you have your own setup contractors that work for you?
Yes, sir.
Who pulled the permits on the 3 you did?
It would have been Danny Merck. I don't know if he's a setup installer in the upstate of South Carolina.
He pulled the permit?
I'm not entirely sure if he was the one who pulled the, as far as the mobile home setup permit?
Yes.
Oh, we did that ourselves, yes, sir, with Anderson County.
You did it
Yes, sir.
without our dealer's license?
We have a dealer that we work with.
Or the dealer pulled it?
So the way, at least in Anderson County, we can apply for the mobile home setup permit ourselves as long as we have the serial number for the mobile home, which we got from our dealer, and then we applied for that. I know you know a lot more about that than I do, so I might be incorrect in that.
Who is the dealer that you're presently working with in the Anderson area?
Robert Howell.
Are there any other questions?
This is the sole issue that's standing in the way of the license?
Yes, sir.
The, getting back to the reason you're here, the 2,000 some odd dollars that you were able to prove. First of all, tell me about the Wagner
Yes, sir.
group and who's involved, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. So the Wagner Property Group, that's the LLC that I also run my residential sales business out of as well, so I have amounts of cash that come in and out of that LLC as well.
Also run what kind of,
It's my real estate sales business. I'm a real estate agent, so that's just where my brokerage pays my commissions checks to. So that, as far as the amount of cash, I don't keep large amounts of cash in that LLC. I'm the sole owner of that LLC.
you have no partners?
In that LLC, no, sir. I have partners who help me with the land home projects, but as far as the LLC, I'm the sole partner, or sole owner, excuse me.
And the LLC is, you're trying to get your dealer's license through the LLC. You're the sole, correct?
Yes, sir.
So when you say that you have stockholder disbursements in the amount of $193,000, that's just you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so the financial statements I provided are exclusively owned by me, solely by me.
So that's you just not liking to keep a lot of money in that account?
Yes, sir.
Did you not know the requirements?
I did. I was not aware it had to be all in that same LLC's account. I was, and it could have been my fault. I was under the understanding as long as I just had $150,000 in cash or cash equivalencies owned by me, I was good. I wasn't aware it had to be all in that same one account.
Even though I'd like to hear a little bit more background, even though.
Yes, sir.
You're not here, you're here for the financials. What is your experience overall in the manufactured housing business?
Yes, sir. So my biggest experience is selling manufactured homes as a real estate agent. So I've sold several over the years, helping people purchase mobile homes as well as sell them as a residential real estate agent. I'm happy to talk more about that if you would like.
Questions?
You buy foreclosures and fix them up and sell them? Or are you buying new houses and putting them on lots? Or what are you buying?
No, sir. So we'll buy vacant pieces of land, and we'll clear and develop it, and we buy brand-new mobile homes. We've used Cavco a good bit, so we'll buy it directly from the manufacturer through our dealer, of course, but we do not buy used or anything. It's always brand new. Yes, sir.
And you say we, you mean you?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And I have a business partner who helps me with that process. He'll help me with some of the setup and coordination of certain things. That's when I'm just thinking through. We tackle on the project together.
And who is your business partner?
His name is Hunter Gore.
He's not part of the LLC,
No, sir. No.
so really not your business partner.
Not legally. No, sir. He just helps me with the projects and helps coordinate certain contractors and things like that with me throughout the process.
He has a license?
No, sir. Not a dealer's license.
Or
No.
any kind of license?
He's a real estate license, real estate agent license.
And you said you have and I assume there's a license, you could clarify that for me, sir, but a licensed setup person who does your delivery setup,
Yes, sir.
foundations, things like that?
Yes, sir. Danny Merck is his name. Yep.
Forgive me, I know Danny.
Okay.
Forgive
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm happy to provide our other contractors who help with HVAC, clearing, septic, all the other things as well.
That was my oversight. You had mentioned him before. I apologize.
All good. Yeah.
That you partner with, does he have a street dealership?
I don't want to say one way. I don't think he does. I don't want to say one way or the other. I don't
Where's
think
his
he does.
office? Where is his office?
It's based out of Clemson, South Carolina, I believe.
Where is his office?
In Clemson, I
I
believe.
mean, on the street or?
I don't think he has a street like where he keeps mobile homes. I don't want to speak for him. I don't think he does.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I don't want to speak incorrectly.
But he does have a dealer's license.
Oh, yes, sir. Yep, yeah. Robert Howell. So yes, he deals quite a few mobile homes.
I'd like to make a motion, go to executive session for legal advice.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion as to disposition of this application?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. We will be denying your application for a dealer's license based on the fact that you do not meet the financial requirement.
This decision we announced today expresses only the basic elements of the ruling in this case. Council,
We need-
okay.
I'll second the motion.
Decision we announced today expresses only the basic elements of our ruling in this case. Council or staff of the board will prepare a document which will fully express our conclusions in the appropriate language and format for which the board has traditionally used. The final written decision must be approved and signed by the chairman of the board and will be in the final order in this. When it wishes to appeal the board's decision, it will need to appeal to the administrative law court within 30 days of the receipt of the order. This concludes the hearing.
Am I able to ask a question now, or?
We need to, all in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
I believe Mr. Wagner had a question, if you're willing to entertain it.
For the financial requirements, if I was able to show 150,000 in that LLC's account, would that satisfy the requirement?
I think that you would need to deal with the staff, and the staff would bring it back to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Move on to public comments.
Good morning. My name's Alan Hutto, and I'm the new executive director for the Manufactured Housing Institute. Just wanted to introduce myself. I know a lot of y'all already. I worked at MHISC from 2004 to 2014 as the general counsel and lobbyist. So I just left and did some things in the site-built housing industry and was with the Department of Transportation for several years, where my recent job until about a month ago was as chief of staff for South Carolina DOT. But it's good to be back in the industry and with such great people, like our board members, and appreciate everything you do and look forward to working with the board. I'll, be happy to give my cell phone number to all of y'all, and, just feel free to call me anytime if there's anything that I can do to assist with the board.
I can tell you this, you saw today what we've had in front of us, and a lot of, I think you could give a brief explanation to the people that are interested about what's on the table in terms of coming up at the State House in terms of regulations and what we can do kind of moving forward, what you guys can do.
Right. No, and I it was good for, 'cause I've talked with a couple of you, about, some possible changes to the Practice Act, and talked with Maggie and Molly about that as well. But it's helpful for me to see firsthand some of the things that we've discussed. But yeah, we'll be moving forward with that, and I've seen a draft, and again had some discussions with y'all. But I think we kind of figure out what will be the plan for moving forward, at the State House.
I know the wheels over there don't move very fast, but we got some stuff that needs rewrite and reattention that we need to flush it through pretty quick. This last case, here we got somebody else that's truly not in the manufactured housing business, but looking to get a license so he can circumvent buying through a legal dealer.
Right. No, and I've, I heard that from, our dealer members down at our convention recently as well, so.
It's getting rough.
I see that. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Anything else? This meeting's adjourned.
I got a question while we're all sitting here for Maggie. I'm seeing, not only in this industry, in the residential side, a rampant use of, non-licensed people. And although we're trying to do things to get them licensed, we're almost pushed, and the counties claim that they don't have any way to police this. Maybe that they don't have the personnel there. I know in Greenwood County, there's only 2 inspectors, and there's, tons of housing to inspect as well as everything else. But do we have to go through the legislature? What do we have to do on even on our side to put some bite into it, where if they get caught doing unlicensed work, somebody can fine them? And I know in our position, we can't do anything to them until they have a license. But does this have to go through legislation for people who are doing unlicensed work?
So we do actually have a process for that the board has recently assisted staff in revamping. So we have a citation form that's used, and every board uses this. It's for things like unlicensed practice, where the board doesn't have any additional authority to impose more severe discipline. So it comes down to a fine that is set in statute. It says for each violation, you receive a fine of a certain amount. And those can obviously pile up into a pretty large citation fee depending on the violations. But those would be strictly, it would be a list of violations that can be cited that way and don't need to come maybe for more formal disciplinary issues. So unlicensed practice is one. And the board appointed 1 or 2 panel hearing members in the last year. So what would happen is if someone receives a citation as a result of a complaint being filed for unlicensed practice, and they choose not to pay that citation fee, they would have to come before that panel hearing officer. The officer would hear why they feel they shouldn't have to pay the fine, and they would make a recommendation that comes back to the board. So similar to the investigative review conference meeting, that panel hearing would hear the issue for you and bring a recommendation back, either that the fine be upheld, et cetera. They could bring you some different recommendations. We do have a process for that. I will be very honest with you. We have all of the compliance processes in place to take care of these issues. The problem is the industry will not file formal complaints with us. We need formal complaints from the industry with documentation showing violations and unlicensed practice before we can actually take any action as a board. And we are working on some educational opportunities that I'm excited about. I think education is going to be another big piece, getting the code enforcement officers who are inspecting these and the manufactured housing industry in the same room, receiving the same information and education about what they're meant to look at and check. I think that would be really helpful, because the state does not regulate local permitting. But Molly and I, every opportunity we get, last Tuesday or Thursday, excuse me, we were in the upstate talking to the Code Enforcement Association. We hammer into them, please do not let homeowners pull permits. Make sure you are getting licensed people. If you have questions about inspections, there is a new continuing education course for code enforcement officers. It's 12 hours, and it's all about manufactured home installation inspections and how they should go about conducting those. So I really think education and filing complaints are our 2 best tools. They're already in place. We just need to make use of them.
Yeah, can I follow up on that one question with her right quick while you're talking about that? So can you tell the board members here, and Alan, Mr. Hutto, I think this is one great area that the board and MHI can work together. Can you, Maggie, explain who can file a complaint? There's an anonymous complaint, I believe, that you can file, and how, Alan, we can get the word out, you can get the word out to membership. Maggie?
Absolutely. So that complaint process, for the Manufactured Housing Board specifically, we have a paper form. It's fillable, so people can do it on the computer, but HUD requires that we collect information on every licensee involved in the complaint. So we collect the installer, manufacturer, and dealer's license number as part of every initial complaint. And then I would say the key there is anyone can file those. Anyone with evidence of a violation can file a complaint. If it's a case of a home maybe not being installed correctly and there are issues that may need to be inspected as part of that complaint, it is helpful for the homeowner to file it or for them to be involved, for them to know that you have filed that complaint on their behalf, because we may need to enter their home and perform an inspection. But any one of you, any member of the industry or the public, myself included, can file a complaint against someone as long as there is evidence. As far as the anonymous bit, there is a good cause explanation document that accompanies this complaint form. So if someone feels that they need to be kept anonymous as the complainant, they can fill that out. The board chair has the authority to approve or not approve that good cause explanation to either allow the complainant to remain anonymous or not. The issue can sometimes arise that if the violations are egregious enough that it comes for a formal hearing before the board, we may need that complainant to testify in front of the board, so that may potentially be an issue, but there is the possibility of anonymity up to a certain point in the investigation.
So what she just said is that the real problem is there's been no complaints filed on a lot of these people that somebody should file a complaint.
And I know evidence can be hard to obtain. I talked to a gentleman for 30 minutes yesterday, licensed contractor. He knew of 2 or 3 people already who were using his license without his permission to pull permits, but he hasn't collected the evidence yet. And I know that can be a difficult piece. I think instructing the jurisdictions to make sure we're getting licensed individuals on permits is a big step in that, because that's a great piece of documentation that will help us during the complaint process.
So what if evidence comes up during the board meeting that somebody is not meeting the guidelines, is breaking the rules for being a dealer?
So you yourselves as board members are welcome to file complaints if you have evidence, and that is the key. So the case will get dismissed if there is insufficient evidence. And I'm always happy to ask Mr. Smith if he or one of his team, maybe the complaint analyst, our attorney who reviews each incoming complaint, we could look at having a training session after a board meeting one day, take 30 minutes and walk you guys through what it looks like to file a complaint, what they need to really have a solid case to pursue. I'm happy to organize more educational information, and that is something I'd like to work into the educational symposium we're hoping to put together for both industries, is how this complaint process works and what we need.
Here's one complaint that everybody's talking about: no storefront. What evidence? And what if that complaint comes to the staff? What happens? What's going to happen? Just no storefront, period. What happens?
So it depends, frankly. It depends if someone has a prior case history that would lend itself to us saying, well, we need more severe action against this licensee now. It depends on the evidence provided. So what happens is when a complaint comes in, the complaint analyst reviews it for not only jurisdiction under the agency's authority, but to see that we have the documents we need. And if she doesn't have sufficient documentation to then open a complaint, normally they'll reach back out to the complainant and say, can you provide something like this? And they'll give them an example of a document they might need. If it comes down to they can't pursue the complaint because of insufficient evidence, they'll tell them that, and they're always welcome to refile once they obtain additional evidence. For something like that, lack of a storefront, I think as long as we have evidence that maybe not just a picture, because that may be no way to confirm that's the specific address, but if you were able to show visually that they did not have a physical location, let me know. Also, as board members, if you know of a licensed retail dealer that doesn't have the required office space and signage and things that they're required by regulation to have, you can also send me an email. So because we revamped that retail dealer compliance audit process, and Mr. Abrams is going out and performing those unannounced now, if you let me know if there's a particular issue, but maybe there's no evidence for a complaint, I can email Investigator Abrams and say, would you be willing to put this particular dealer location at the top of your list for inspections? Go check out. We've had some concerns, but there's no need for a complaint at this stage. Will you add this to your list as one of the dealer audits? And we can go about it that way as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I know you said that there's an anonymous quote in there. I had a case that happened in Greenwood where a friend of mine who's a licensed builder did the complaint process, did everything, and through LLR contacted a local inspector. He was asked to go out and look at the job. And so the inspector, head of inspector, goes out there and says, okay, Joe, this guy's filed a complaint against you about doing this, this, and this. Where's the animosity at? I mean, we got to, I mean, in a day of social media, this guy gets on there and just tells all kind of lies about the guy that wrote the complaint. And this is why you can't get people to turn somebody in for unlicensed work and things, because you don't keep it anonymous. You need to change the way the person can do the complaint without having to go to have one guy decide if it needs to stay anonymous or not. Because I don't want somebody to get on social media and tell a bunch of lies about me just because he got upset that I turned him in for unlicensed work.
Absolutely. Well, I can certainly speak to the head of Office of Investigations and see if there are any broader parameters maybe that can be applied to that anonymity. That is a fairly new process, Mr. Moore, just so you know. That form in itself came around, I think, maybe 2 years ago and started, so I can certainly ask more questions about that process.
Right now, good cost determination for this board will go to Tony as the chair. And so his determination of whether or not to withhold the complainant's name.
That's a chicken or the egg situation, because they're not going to make the complaint until they get guarantees that it's going to be kept anonymous.
That's just the way it is right now, because there is a provision, you know, that the person can ask that their name be withheld.
Well, let me clarify that, Maggie. So if the chair says, no, I don't think it needs to be anonymous, then there really is no complaint.
So at that point, the complaint would continue, but the complainant would not remain anonymous throughout the process. So that
It would continue, then whoever made the complaint could withdraw it.
they are welcome to submit a formal request to withdraw it. I have been told by Office of Investigations that in some severe cases, they may carry the case forward regardless if the violations are egregious and they feel that this license, similar to how the police department can still carry forward charges if you don't, press charges themselves. It's a similar kind of process to that. If they feel it's warranted to continue the case, they may. But 98% of the time, if someone requests to withdraw it, the complainant requests to withdraw it, then they will.
Just answered the question of why nobody will file a complaint. You answered their own question.
That is fair. And I'm, again, more than happy to have Mr. Smith or his direct supervisor, the program director for OIE, if you ever want them to come and speak, I can make that an agenda item for a meeting. And you can ask them some of these questions as well and discuss what it would look like to potentially update some of these procedures if it's possible.
But from the practical standpoint, if you've got a well-developed case and complaint, the person who's at fault is probably going to know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about that, it seems that the storefront deal is rampant. There's a lot of stuff that's just out of hand. We had talked at one point in time, we've talked so much, it's hard to remember what we did and what we didn't do, but that with the dealer application, I think it was my idea, and I think maybe you thought it could possibly work, was that they have to send a picture in before they get their final dealer's license of their storefront. And whatever the requirements are, check. Certify under penalty of law, whatever, that these things are in place before that'd be the last thing before they get their license.
I think that's certainly possible to add to the application. So what that would look like is at the board's next regulatory review, the license application requirements are housed in regulations, so the good news is the board has control over those changes. So you could add that as a requirement to the dealer license. You could maybe add a requirement that they attest on the application that they have met the requirements of that particular section of regulation that lists all of those, the business location signage, posting your license in a conspicuous place, posting complaint procedures, that kind of thing. We could certainly make that a question, and it might look similar to what the new retail dealer audit forms look like, where it essentially just asks them the question, do you understand the requirements of this section, and do you attest that you have complied with them? And if they check yes on the application, they sign it, and it's notarized, then we as staff have the ability to file a complaint for application fraud if we ever determine that they lied on the
And
application.
there's something about a picture that just changes everything, right?
And it's certainly not a bad requirement. I would say we might need to set something that, something to show the address, because we'll get all kinds of pictures. I tell you what, if we
Oh,
set
yeah.
that, but we can certainly discuss that as
The
a
address,
requirement.
picture, everything you said.
Yep.
It could be, I mean, I just think that is much needed.
We can certainly work on the application requirements. So Wick and I were discussing earlier, but, when the board might want to do the next regulatory review. And I know in years past, the discussion was that we wanted to affect the statutory changes first so that there wasn't going to be any conflict with the new statutes and regs. So that's something that we can certainly, I'll talk to Tony about. And in September, maybe we'll have a better answer for when we could go about that.
Would it be appropriate for me to ask you, based, the last gentleman that was in here, he was in here for financial requirement. In my mind, I was also wondering his experience requirement. Would it be appropriate for me to ask you how that got passed for 2 years of experience in manufactured housing industry?
I would say that what he provided in writing on his application met the statutory requirement of demonstrating 2 years of experience in the industry, in the manufactured housing industry. And to Mr. Gaines' point, because it is broad, there is that leeway if it is in the industry. Now, we as staff do look specifically for experience related to the license type they are applying for. However, he met the statutory requirement for experience, so that was approved at staff
I
level.
would just say this, based on the information that I got, which was limited, I would have said no on the experience level.
Understood.
And I think everybody on the board would have done the same.
Understood. Thank you.
There again, on the question, on these folks that's getting licensed, do we need to go through some type of legislation to put out here fines? And I mean, in our industry and residential contractors, these guys who don't get licensed at all, and we've pushed our system has pushed them to not want to come get licensed because nothing ever happens to them. And it pushes them to operate without a license. And, I mean, you go to any county you want to, and it's a problem. And when they, like I said, do we need to go through legislation to get this done? Do we need to have some way to put it in a statute? Because we need to have somebody, and who would enforce this,
I would say that's something I can discuss with Chairman Massarelli and the advice attorney. A lot of that is set strictly in statute, and it might be something like what we call the Engine Act, Chapter 1. So some of that is set for the agency as a whole. Some of that is board-specific. I do believe citation fees are in statute, so that's something I can discuss, and I'll confirm that for you, Mr. Moore. I'm not positive about all of that, but I can confirm and discuss with Mr. Massarelli. If it is a statutory change, that is something that the industry would take up as a bill proposed to the legislature. It wouldn't be something that the board could be involved in.
One thing that I'm not sure where the inconsistencies are between the manufactured housing industry specifically and others, but I get involved quite a bit with disciplinary actions against contractors, people like that, with the LLR, where they actually have, it's almost like their own court. They have their legal officer, somewhat like Mr. Stewart, but they actually have someone to adjudicate the hearings. And they impose some serious fines. I'm not talking $75,000. I mean, I've seen them impose, $1 million fine with just the person adjudicating the LLR hearing, where they have disciplinary hearings and they suspend a contractor's license who's a multi-billion-dollar builder. I saw them get their license pulled simply by, the person adjudicating the hearing. I'm not saying they were a judge, but they were the legal presiding person who was presiding over the hearing. And I saw them suspend licenses. I saw them put people out of business. I mean, just right there in a hearing like this. But apparently I'm learning that the manufactured housing industry, that's for like single-family contracting, commercial contracting for the LLR hearing. But apparently we don't have that same authority, or we don't have a legal, you said that there was some sort of, ma'am, you said that there was I forget what you called it, but you said there was a disciplinary committee of some sort, but apparently it doesn't have the same authority as what the LLR has. Anyway, I mean, pull licenses, impose serious monetary, and they didn't wait 3 years either. It was serious monetary fines.
Yes, because I keep expecting that to come up every hearing, and hadn't heard anything in a while.
It just seems
I'm
that
so
in the
sorry, everyone.
manufactured housing industry, the enforcement is rather toothless compared to what the LLR
You're
has.
getting off.
I do think we're getting into something that maybe should be discussed just as an agenda item. So the public's aware, the industry's aware, they can come in and speak as well. But I will talk to Chairman Massarelli. And if there's something specific any of you would like to be heard as a very particular agenda item, please email me. What I do is I then talk to Tony and we determine what will be on the agenda and what everyone's prepared to speak on. So I'm happy to do that. Yes, sir.
Hey, you adjourn?
I'm so sorry. We'll just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.